Welcome, and thanks for being me over the lunch break. First thing first, we are very late on the schedule, and I will skip the question time and take your questions outside to get the next speaker his slot or her slot in time. Okay? Or whenever you want, drop by the booth and we'll clear them out. So today in this very short session, we are focusing on spoiling for choice and limiting your options. Is it limiting, and how you can overcome it, and how you maybe migrate your used libraries and circles and revert historical decisions. But who am I to teach you something about it? I'm Merlin. I'm a staff software engineer with Modern Inc. I'm a full-time migration engineer, volleyball player, glider instructor, and whatever. In my day-to-day work, I'm helping the OpenRewrite community to develop more recipes, apply recipes, help customers and open source teams to migrate their software to a newer state or to the current best state. Let's have a quick recap first when diving into this about the what the spoil for choice and the historical decisions may be. If you're starting a new project on a greenfield, you usually start by picking a stack. So you're picking a stack for logging. There are some available. You may pick a library for testing, or you should. There's still another one. And then you maybe for some annotations and stuff. And that sums up to a really, really big matrix of possible combinations of different libraries. And every selection is okay, because every selection is usually reasonable, that the trade-offs are known, and in a point in time where decisions are made, it's the right choice. But time changes, decision changes, priority changes, and they might not be the right decision for today. Even in mature projects, we have the situation. Usually, the decisions are made which libraries to be used, but the versions are different. The API adoption is different. And different teams decide very different on this problem because they have different requirements, different fears, different knowledge, different pressure, you name it. Over the time, that leads to a very diverse usage of libraries versions. Some of them have CVEs, some of them are out of life. And on a very broad level, it may look like this. This is the dependencies, the Jackson dependencies used by a group of repositories from the Spring Boot and Netflix repositories. You see a wide variety of different Jackson modules on the bottom with the versions on the y-axis. And every dot means this version is used. Every gray area means it is more used than others. So we have a few problems there. We have versions ranging from 2.5.3 to 2.18. I think I have not dived in it there, but I think they are not 100% compatible. That may be a problem. And we don't have these big bubbles all aligned on one version. Some of them are down there, some of them are up there. Might become a problem in the future as you're upgrading. And that is that's not that's not managed by a bigger organization with a central version management with a central POM. But I can tell you from my experiences, it's not different. In big organization, it's the same image. Maybe a little bit smaller, maybe a different language, but it's always there. Always this problem. That can be changed because we can migrate between libraries easily with OpenRewrite. We can migrate, for instance, the logging migrations. Maybe some small projects use Java util logging, or some old projects use the commons logging. Just migrate them to log4j. You can migrate further to logback or to SLF4j, or you can migrate in circles between log4j and SLF4j. Sounds ridiculous, but it helps basically because it is consolidating the tech stack. You're moving towards one solution when applying this to an organization, and you achieve liquidity. You can swap out. If you decide today let's go for log4j, and tomorrow let's go for SLF4j, and next week turn around again, no problem anymore. If you do it manually, not with a tool, that's a big problem. What does it look like? For example, this is a recipe run from SLF4j to log4j. These are some examples I picked out. We are not only upgrading some imports and some method usages and class usages, we also update the versions, so probably we are getting a nice, great version for you. And we are consolidating the API usage because it's rule-based and we are doing the same thing for the same situation. Same thing on the way back. It's the same classes, not the same classes exactly, but the same project. Migrated back from log4j to SLF4j, so arc back. Again, the expected stuff. We are migrating the imports. We are migrating the class usages. And it's not shown, we are migrating the dependencies as well. But what's interesting, we also migrate the API usage here. No longer pluses, no longer string.format, no longer concat, no longer whatever. All use this common intended usage of the API with the brackets and this string insertion there from now on. So now the API usage is streamlined as well. And that's why I say it sounds ridiculous to migrate from one library and back, but it might indeed have positive effects on upgrading your versions because you're now on the latest version and no longer on any version available, and you're streamlined with your API usage. Next thing we can do, or we decided, was a testing framework. I don't know if you know Fast. I haven't known, but Harmcrest and JUnit 4 and 5, they're grouped together there, or TestNG are all valid. Were all valid in the time of usage. But from the world is evolving, and we now see that the recipes are more and more used to consolidate here against the de facto standard of JUnit 4 or JUnit Jupyter with SRJ. I don't know if you would choose TestNG. That would be an okay solution at the moment, I think. But going with the old Fast stuff or with Harmcrest, I think that's not a great solution today anymore. So migrate away from there. Again, we have the same effects. We now have, after the migration to JUnit or SRJ, we have the streamlined API usage and the streamlined dependency usage with the consolidation. So everywhere around your organization, same API, same dependency. One last example before we quickly hop in one demo, yes, this should be okay, is migrating from meta annotations. Who uses not null or nullable validator annotations? I think all of you. Yeah, thanks to nullability. But there were quite a few vendors who implemented the same stuff with slightly different names, with slightly different preconditions. And luckily, they joined forces and created JSpecify. And with only one recipe run, we can migrate all of them to JSpecify. We have now one specification, which is vendor neutral and community managed, so it's a good way to go, no longer being dependent on one specific vendor. Again, we are consolidating the tech stack here. We are moving to one exact API usage with one dependency. And we're achieving liquidity because it's not quite obvious here, but JSpecify is vendor neutral and you can use it freely on different levels. Above there, JetBrains, for example, is not everywhere usable. Same for Jakarta and Spring. So, what have we what have we done with OpenRewrite? OpenRewrite is mainly for migrating, fixing securities, fixing your updates, fixing your common code analysis problems. And it helps you to consolidate your tech stack, achieve liquidity in there, and therefore go for a digital sovereignty. Because if you're able to move your code or your implementation details and able to consolidate on one standard, you're able to migrate between clouds because you're no longer dependent on AWS or the Google AWS or Azure, because you can move away from them very easily. With which tool I have done it? With OpenRewrite. Now I want to show you very briefly the modern solution, the solution with which we created this all. This is app.modern.io. This is not only OpenRewrite, this is OpenRewrite an enterprise version. OpenRewrite is just for one repository. The modern products are screwing it work and used for migrating whole organizations here. For example, if we use Spring Boot here, let's say we have a very old Spring Boot service, or not that very old, 2.7 is enough, old enough. We are forced to invest into Broadcom, give them money to allow us to get more security fixes. If we upgrade to Spring Boot 3.4, we no longer have to pay anybody for it. It's free to use. This recipe does exactly this. It picks you up wherever you are and moves you to 3.4. Picks you up wherever you are means picks you up from any Spring Boot version from 2.0. We are not going 1.x because I hope there's no service there at the moment. If we hit dry run, we execute these recipes against this nearly 1,000 repositories I've selected from the Netflix and Spring area. And as you see here, we are doing a lot. We know that Apache JMeter contains a JUnit implementation, a JUnit 4 implementation. When you are upgrading to 3.0, I think, or 2.7, you're advised to migrate to JUnit Jupyter. Therefore, you don't have to contain this. So we're excluding this. We are excluding no longer needed services like Netflix Ever. It's replaced. We are doing a Java upgrade, which is mandatory for 3.0 for you. And there we get thousands and thousands and thousands of changes here that you can review, that you should review. And then if you're satisfied with a few of them, let's say, open up a pull request instantly for your teams. So supposedly you're a platform team pushing on, but you have to use the new Spring Boot version. Or you have a lot of microservices where it don't make sense to move only one microservice to a new version. You want to move all of them to a new version. You can open up pull requests right here and ta-da, it's done. Whenever you want to play on your own with our solution, feel free to. Under app.modern.io, that's a free app tenant. You can run around nearly 4,000 recipes on nearly 40,000 different projects from the open source world. If you're not satisfied with the projects yet, and you have a new open source project that you want to be ingested in here, feel free to contact us. Only thing, we need you to be one of the core contributors. Otherwise, you don't have the rights to ingest it. We need to OK for the core contributors. And then you are free to use any of this recipe you want to do. If you want to do this in your organization, it's OK too. But be aware, there are a few legal problems if you try to earn money with our project. So ask us. As long as you're just using OpenRewrite, no problem at all. So What have we seen with OpenRewrite? OpenRewrite has a wide variety of different languages. Naturally, because it's a Java tool and we are coming from the Java space, we have a great Java support here with the common frameworks. Lately, there's TypeScript and JavaScript added and some C# and Python. All of these three will get their own recipe API, so you're not forced to write Java code to migrate your Python code, because that's ridiculous. You can write Python code. That's great. And what do we achieve with that? We enable framework migrations for you. You can migrate your security problems. You can scan for my security problems and therefore move faster to clouds and move between clouds with this rule-based system. What do we really solve are the biggest problems of our industries: limited capacity, security issues, and technical debt at all. One last, we have nearly 1 minute, so every question will be happily discussed outside, so Alina has more time. OpenRewrite and Modern are not two different things. It's the same with different powers. OpenRewrite, on the right one, is focused on one single repository. It is completely Apache open source. It is an open source community with a Maven and Gradle integration. This open source project is also included in a lot of hyperscaler products, like Broadcom Application Advisor, Amazon QTransform, Microsoft Copilot plugins, and so on. And but they are only all focused on one repository. If you want to apply OpenRewrite efficiently in a big organization, you have to run OpenRewrite on multiple organizations or multiple repositories at once. Therefore, we have Modern. We are able to serialize the underlying data, make it queryable in our platform, make it more efficient to work with in the CLI. If you want to learn more of this, these are the links: docs.openrewrite.org or modern.io. Have a look at our GitHub repository. The whole magic is open source available, and you can look at it. And if you want to have more of me talking about migration engineering, or you have questions how to advocate for changes in your organization, meet me at the mentoring session today in nearly 1 hour, I think, or meet me at the booth whenever I'm available. I don't think we have time for questions at the moment. I take the Slido questions right here. Somewhere there are the Slido questions. Thanks for being with me. And I hope you have a lot of questions we can discuss at the coffee or at the booth. Have a great lunch day.